And away we go.
Away we go.
It is Monday, man. It is Monday. His name is Mark Malusis. We call him Moose. He's Moose on the loose. He's on billboards, on buses, and everyone is happy about it. I want to know if anybody took any pictures with it. Actually, that's, you know what? I'm throwing the rundown out right now. That's what we need to do. All right. We are going to put out a social media push for people who love Better Sports Network. Maybe not just our show. Maybe you love everybody's show on the network, right? You love the guys and gals from Fantasy Alarm and everybody, right? I want everyone to try to get people in the New York, the tri-state area to take pictures with Mark's billboard. It's at subway stations. Which subway do you know that it's at?
125th and Lex.
125th and Lex, we know for sure, which means it's probably at like 10 others. It's on buses. All right. So that's how I'm opening the show. I want people to take pictures who are in the tri-state area. If you're in Manhattan anytime over the next couple of days, take a picture. I want a selfie. I want like this. I want like, doing some funny stuff with Moose, and we will then throw it on our social media. We'll talk about you on television and on the internet, and you'll love it. But anyway, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Happy Monday. Starting another week.
I'm good. Great. I'm energized. I feel like a lot of energy today. I really do.
Good.
And it's not because of necessarily any wins or losses this weekend. I just thought yesterday's football had a lot of twists and turns. We had overtime games. Hey, by the way, the Orioles are back into the baseball playoffs, which is awesome too. I know we're not going to talk a lot of baseball today, but that was really cool. And I guess we should start with the Cowboys and the Jets. But Moose, here's my question. Is the story that the Cowboys might be the best team in the NFL, or is the story that the Jets don't have a quarterback?
Well, I think it's more. I honestly, I think it's more the case of the Cowboys starting to prove a lot of people wrong. Then all of a sudden, I think the story would have been the Jets if Zach Wilson played really, really well, and he played okay. The whole idea of that he's turned some corner. I think
did he play okay? God bless.
Excuse me.
God bless. Did he play okay though?
Yeah, without a ground game. I don't think the defense played particularly well. Sauce Gardner dropped a pick 6 for the New York Jets. The defense, which was supposed to be historically great. I don't think the secondary played very well when you look at the coverage. Had no ground game to lean on. Dalvin Cook getting the ball stripped away from him by Micah Parsons.
Play was sick,
the Jets are going to talk about the fact of, you're going to put them in obvious passing situations. To answer your question, we'll get to Zach Wilson and the Jets, and he is what he is. That's the concerning aspect of it when you look at the Jets. I think it's the Cowboys. I think Dallas looks really good. I don't think there's any question about it. And as we joked around about Jerry Jones and the AI Jerry Jones that's now at AT&T Stadium down there, and you could ask him questions and sit there and chat, and the fact that they haven't won a Super Bowl since Barry Switzer took over Jimmy Johnson's team, and they've been built up in America's team, and we understand how popular the Cowboys are. Defense is legit. Micah Parsons might be the best player in the National Football League. That's how good he is as a player and how much of a game record that he is. And you saw it and seen in the first 2 games, whether against the Giants or whether against the Jets yesterday afternoon at home. And then you look at Dak and you look at this passing game, and it's a little bit different. And everyone wants to go out there and rip apart Mike McCarthy. Give him credit. I saw a quote from Jerry Jones. Saw him meeting with the media after the game yesterday, and give him McCarthy credit for having his team prepared, having them prepared coming out of training camp. And Dallas has, they embarrassed the Giants. And without Aaron Rodgers, you expected them, as that was a 9.5, 8.5 point spread when that game kicked yesterday. A lot of people were like, well, the Jets are going to cover, myself included. I thought the Jets could hang with the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys took care of business and did it pretty easily. Even though that was a tight game in the third quarter, they lengthened it out toward the tail end and took advantage of the opportunities. Long story long, I think the storyline is just how good the Dallas Cowboys are, because I think you look at it right now, 49ers have been impressive. Cowboys have. If there been a team in the AFC, can't say the Chiefs, can't say the Chargers, can't say Ravens, I guess, to an extent. Cincinnati,
I thought Baltimore looked really good yesterday. I do. Maybe they're the team.
Maybe
the Dolphins, right?
Maybe. I I guess I would look at it. I think Dallas has been now. You don't get anything for it. Dallas has been the most impressive team to me for the first 2 weeks.
So I love the way you answered that, by the way, because if you turn on every other major network right now, and many of them have some sort of New York ties, right? You know, like you turn on a lot of the big networks. It is all about the Jets. How Zach Wilson stinks, and the New York Jets are going to waste da 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 da. Yeah, I think the storyline in that game should be about how the Dallas Cowboys look like they might be the best team in the NFL. And again, it's 2 games in, anything can happen, injuries happen, battle of attrition, all of the cliches, you can throw them all out there.
Well, the other issue you have, Keith, is I'm sorry to interrupt. Is
No,
this
you're
is
good.
do you necessarily want to be the team that's looking the best in the first 2 weeks of the year? You want to be the team that's looking the best at the end of the season. Now, maybe this ends up being a tour de force year. Maybe the Cowboys end up going 14-3 through 17 games and end up just completely and utterly dominating. But I mean that they've come out of the gate strong, and I think the head coach needed it. You had Kellen Moore leaving to become the Chargers offensive coordinator. Los Angeles is 0-2 to begin the year. And
Tough
now you
luck
have
losses for the Chargers.
well, tough losses, no doubt. But
Yeah.
people want to just completely and utterly drag Mike McCarthy because of the stories that came out of Green Bay when he was let go of the Packers, let go by the Green Bay Packers. Well, give McCarthy credit. I mean, he's dealt with people putting his job on the line, has dealt with the rumors of Sean Payton, has dealt with the fact that he had a holdover offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore and basically said, listen, I'm going to go down. I'm going to go down with me. I'm going to call plays here moving forward. I heard Rex Ryan this morning say it, and he's damn right correct. He goes, listen, when I was a head coach, I wanted to call plays because I thought I was the best defensive play caller in the NFL. Mike McCarthy thinks he's the best offensive play caller in the National Football League. So if he's going to go down with the ship, you better go down basically using your knowledge, your information, what you believe in. And offensively, Dak has taken care of the football. They've looked really good. They've got weapons. They've dealt with injuries along the offensive line. Tony Pollard has looked good. It's been impressive the first 2 weeks for Dallas.
Yeah, I'm going to give credit to Evan Cohen, one of the new hosts of Unsportsmanlike on ESPN Radio. It's him and Canty and Smalls. And Evan has brought up numerous times when people just want to rip to shreds what Mike McCarthy has been over his career and what he is now. Him and Sean Payton have essentially the same record. Him and Sean Payton both have one Super Bowl win. They all have the same stuff, yet, except we all, as a media and as a fan, as a group of fans, like to say how Sean Payton is a Hall of Famer and Mike McCarthy is a bum. Mike McCarthy's not a bum. He's not. Like, he's done the same stuff that other excellent, I'm not saying great. I think there's a difference between the word great and excellent. Other excellent coaches and very above average coaches have done. He's won a Super Bowl. He's gotten to the playoffs many times with good quarterbacks. And you look at this Dallas Cowboys team, he decided that I am going to shorten the leash on Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott led the NFL in interceptions last year, albeit missing 4 games. It's not something that should happen. So Dak looks a little bit more cautious, which some people think is good, something people think is bad. This Dallas team is just built to win. And oh, by the way, they haven't even needed the offense to do anything going. Yeah. It's been pretty impressive to watch them play. And again, it's 2 games. There's still 15 more. So who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, and then you get on the opposite side of the fears is you look at the Jets in that game, and, not everything's going to be honky-dory. The Jet fan thought, was buying into this whole idea of a rebuild Zach Wilson. Well, he might be better, and the Jets might be going around him after the game, as it was reported, and Ty Conklin saying that, it looks different this year as compared to last year. The problem is just where is he in that growth and maturation process as a quarterback? And he might be better than last year. Fine. Last year he was almost unwatchable at the quarterback spot. But is he good enough for this team to be competitive to win football games? The offensive line, is it good enough to go out there and be persistent trying to run the football, which they went away from yesterday, and just being kind of a smash mouth team and throwing off of the run? That's because the Dallas Cowboys went into that game yesterday. We're going to stop the run. We don't believe Wilson's good enough, accurate enough to be able to throw the football to beat us, and they were right. And there are a lot of teams that maybe not necessarily as talented as Dallas defensively that are going to do the exact same thing. Until Zach Wilson proves otherwise, it's going to be a problem for the Jets moving the football consistently, because you can't have the amount of plays that the Cowboys were on the field offensively as compared to the Jets offensively, and you can't have that play out for the rest of the regular season, expect that defense to hold up.
I will say this. Zach Wilson sounds and looks more mature out there on the field. Here is Wilson after the game on this loss and his performance.
Seeing it well for the first 3 quarters of that game, but we kept getting stopped, and there's always going to be things we can keep cleaning up. But I thought I was seeing it well, at least for the first 3 quarters, and I think if we go back and watch this film, we'll be able to keep pushing on some of that stuff.
Zach 1 for 10 on 3rd down. Is there any kind of common thread you can see through that?
Not good, and I think I want to say the biggest was probably just not being on 3rd and manageable, just not putting us in a good me not putting us in a good position to just play for 3rd and short, because I think that's where you got to be in this league to be successful, to keep drives alive and score. I think those guys did a good job of converting, and you saw what it did to our defense. You get tired when you're on the field that long, and we can't go 3 and out. We can't do that to them, and we got to give them a break, and we got to sustain drives.
Yeah, I mean, sounds a whole hell of a lot mature. Now the question is just how good is Zach Wilson? So
yeah. I will also flip it here really quickly. I didn't love the game plan by the Jets. I thought they abandoned the run too quickly. And listen, I wasn't on the field, and I know that Dallas was putting 8-9 people in the box at times. I get it. But for Breece Hall, who I know has obviously since deleted that Twitter message, the X, whatever you call it now. But for him to have 4 carries, for Dalvin to have 4 carries, and Michael Carter to have 2, to have 10 carries by your running backs in a game that was close until the middle of the 3rd quarter, it seemed like a bad game plan to put Zach Wilson into.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I just don't think they probably thought that the offensive line was going to be able to move people up front.
Yeah, I guess.
That's, I mean, I don't, unfortunately for the Jets, they don't have an offensive line, that's nearly what it needs to be to execute kind of the ground and pound offense against a really good defense. So, I mean, that's the problem you have. I mean, they were able to move it on the Buffalo Bills. They were able to run it on the Buffalo Bills. The Bills defense is not anywhere close to what, as Micah Parsons calls it, the doomsday defense once again for the Dallas Cowboys. It's a really good unit. They're really talented. They've got playmakers all over the place. And like I mentioned before, you're a head start of everybody when, for argument's sake, and he just might be the very best player in the National Football League when you look at Micah Parsons. But, it was an interesting week, too, when you look at, and there's a lot of other storylines to get into. How about the fact that the Bengals, for a 2nd straight year, they're 0-2, and the re-aggravation of the calf injury, when you look at the re-aggravation of the calf injury, when you're looking at Joe Burrow, they lose to the Baltimore Ravens. They can't move the ball offensively. They just can't. I mean, Jamar Chase has been a fantasy bust when you look at the wide receiver spot for the first couple of weeks. T. Higgins, who's probably playing out his days in Cincinnati, had himself a little bit of a game yesterday and played well.
Yeah, pair of touchdowns yesterday. Fantasy-wise, he was good. He did all right.
He was good. But unfortunately, you look at that Bengals offense, something looks wrong. And clearly Burrow was playing hurt, and now he re-aggravated that calf injury. I wonder what this season's ultimately going to look like for the Cincinnati Bengals, where maybe they take a massive step back, because Baltimore was moving the ball up and down. If Baltimore played a relatively clean game in terms of penalties, Baltimore was moving the ball up and down the field, and Zay Flowers is amazing for the Ravens.
Zay Flowers awesome. I started him in Fantasy Survivor yesterday. Very happy about that. Yeah, Joe Burrow clearly does not look right. Last week, we talked about it a bunch. That is it, I think you like to call it ring rust, right? Is it ring rust for him? I don't think that's it. I think he's injured or hurting. Maybe he's not injured. He's hurting. And it is limiting how he throws the ball. It's limiting him his ability to move around inside and outside of the pocket. It's tough to watch. Speaking of Joe Burrow, let's catch up with him after that loss.
First half we had 3 possessions and a holding call that
took us back, and then we had a third down that we didn't convert, and then we scored points on the other one. Second half, we moved it really well. It came down to the turnover in the red zone. When you're playing that team, you can't have that mistake because they're going to run it well. They're going to keep it away from you. They're going to score points. Lamar's a great player. He's going to make plays, so you got to take advantage of all your red zone opportunities, and that was my mistake.
There's going to be plenty of talk about your calves.
We're going to have to wait and see. I'm not sure how it's going to feel the next couple of days. Pretty sore right now, but no telling how it's going to feel. So I think we're going to take it day by day.
How did you tweak it?
It was on the play before the last touchdown.
There you go. I mean, so
every year there's one team that everyone's very high on that seemingly falls on their face. Again, two weeks in, Cincinnati Joe Burrow has had this issue. I think he's 1-7 in his career in the first 2 games of the first 4 seasons that he's played, right? So, like, this is a thing. If this were Aaron Rodgers, he would tell us to relax. I think there's reasons to worry there as opposed to some of the 0-2 teams.
I think there's reasons to be excited about the Baltimore Ravens as well. We'll get into that. We'll talk about the fact that the Pats are 0-2, the unbelievable comeback, especially if you had them in Survivor or knockout pools, the unbelievable comeback from the Giants against the dreadful Arizona Cardinals. A lot more to get into. He's Keith Arizari. I'm Mark Malusis. The show is Moose and Keith on a Monday right here. A big football Monday on the Better Sports Network.
Like Devon Levi started off in the friend zone and now like he could possibly be wife material. So it is exceptionally hard to trust a rookie goalie in the NHL. The kid is what? He's 21. Like, okay. And he is going to the Buffalo Sabres. But we've all agreed that the Buffalo Sabres are at least a somewhat better hockey team on paper. Again, it's hard to trust a rookie goalie. We've seen future Hall of Fame goalies like, Fleury in his first year struggle, right? Carey Price in his first year struggle. It is tough for goalies to come in and have success. That being said, nobody outside of maybe a Buffalo sports fan can tell me who the 2 goalies on their roster are, because I didn't know until this morning, until I was reminded that it was Eric Comrie and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. And I was like, okay, well, he has the crease to himself. So all he can do is lose it. That's all he can do. Buffalo is going to be a fun team to watch, which means maybe Devon Levi ends up in what I call the Martin Jones syndrome, which is a goals against average is pretty up there. Save percentage is not very good, but he's going to finish with 35 wins because he's just going to play a lot. And it's going to be that back and forth hockey. The Atlantic Division is not very good, right? There are some teams that are going to regress. So there's opportunities here for Buffalo to do well. And I think his over-under on wins is set at 24.5. So again, there's a lot of things that I may not trust about him, but as a 13th goalie off the board, and I think that is a reach at 13. I think a lot of people have him farther back than that. So he may be 13 on NHL.com's list, but you may end up and show up in your Yahoo or your ESPN draft and they haven't ranked probably outside of the top 20. So I would have no issue as a second goalie going with Levi, because like, who's taking his spot? Nobody. And volume at one point, if you're in a league that doesn't penalize you for losses, if you're in a league that rewards saves and save bonuses like, for daily, DraftKings does, he has all that working for him. So if it doesn't work out, all right, fine. Then you can go and pick up whoever is there. But it is his net to lose. I understand the risk. I will definitely take, because that's how you win championships, right? You got to take risks to win them. If you're safe, you're going to finish, eliminated in the first round and you had a good time. Or you can try to win the championship on draft day.
Yeah, I think we always remain confident and just kind of, getting back to simple execution and, trusting it, seeing it and ripping it. We had some opportunities to make plays in the first half. I knew that they'd be there. I just had to execute, give our guys a chance to make those plays, and we did it and kind of built off of it going forward. I think we did a great job of, creating some of those opportunities and calling stuff, getting guys open. Then guys did a really good job making plays, and offensive line did a good job, really the whole game, and especially there in that second half.
How important was the 58-yard pass to start the second half just to kind of get things going in the right direction?
Yeah, I think it was important. Big-time play by Jalen there. to make it, and then it gave us some confidence and momentum going forward.
It's Moose and Keith with Mark Malusis and Keith Irizarry.
All right, start a free 7-day trial Fantasy Alarms All-Pro subscription. Get all the Week 2 and Week 3 DFS content and picks for free. Go to fantasyalarm.com/NFL. Still 2 games left. You got a doubleheader on Monday Night Football tonight.
What do you think of the doubleheader?
Saints and Panthers down in Carolina, and obviously the Steelers and Browns in Blitzburg. So be an interesting Monday night. You just heard from Daniel Jones, the Giants coming back. I mean, how they were down 20-0 at half against Arizona, then trailing 28-7 to do something. The Giants have not come back from 20 points down to win a football game since 1949. It shows you, and they need a little bit of help. Arizona started melting down when you put a little pressure on them. We talked about it on Friday. I mean, Arizona's a dreadful football team. You gave out the pick in terms of your knockout pool that if you want to win it, you got to go with the Giants this week. And I was stunned. I mean, I was sitting there at FanDuel yesterday, stunned, watching just the way that the Giants were playing offensively and defensively. I couldn't believe it. And to see their comeback the way that they did, the fact that they started using the team speed that they had, the big pass to Jalen Hyatt to start the third quarter, open things up, hitting guys like Darren Waller, an unbelievable comeback for the Giants and to win that game 31-28.
Let me give you a little story. So story time for Dave Sharapan does this, right? Story time from the book, story time from the Irizarry household. So a buddy of mine from college was in from New Hampshire, came over. I set up the multiple TVs, had the great setup going, right? Austin and Alex, my 2 sons, are watching the games with us too, and we're enjoying it. He is, like you, grew up a Washington, well, now Commanders fan. So yes. So the Washington game is on, the Giants game is on. Giants are down 20-0. He had the Giants in Survivor. I had the Giants in Survivor. Austin has the Giants in Survivor. We decide it's beautiful outside. They're down 20-0. Let's go outside, shoot some hoops. We play a little 2-on-2 basketball, have some fun, come back in. Suddenly it's a game. Boom. Everyone is happy. Now let's talk about this game. Utterly impressed with what Daniel Jones did. And Moose, you know, I'm not a Daniel Jones guy per se. I'm not. I think he's fine. He's a more athletic version of Mac Jones, which in today's NFL, I would rather have a Daniel Jones than a Mac Jones. Okay. The poise he showed in the second half is something that he needs to continue to roll with. Now, the looming thing here is whether or not this Saquon Barkley injury is something serious. We hope it's just a sprained ankle. There's no major ligament issues or anything. And maybe he misses Thursday's game against the Niners that they probably were going to lose anyway. I enjoyed watching the Giants, and I'm not a Giants guy. That's not my team, right? But I enjoyed watching the Giants make that comeback. That was fun to watch.
It was great. I mean, there's no other way to cut it. I mean, I thought it was and we'll see what the ankle injury is for Saquon Barkley. Early reports are that he avoided a serious injury, but he was frustrated, didn't meet with the media, and a lot of Giants guys thought he looked despondent after the game, and you feel bad for Saquon. Obviously, playing on the one-year deal for the Giants, was looking for a long-term deal, and his importance to this Giant offense. But you need to find a way to win a game, and we'll see what it looks like. I don't think it will look particularly good Thursday night against the San Francisco 49ers, but you need to find a way to win. Now, they made you sweat. I mean, they made you lose basically 10 pounds yesterday watching that game. But finally, they came through, and Arizona, all you need to do is lean on them, and they're going to fall apart. I mean, and that's exactly what you saw. It's honestly, Keith, at 20-0, at 28-7 in the third quarter, I didn't think that. I mean, I thought they'd make it close. I didn't necessarily think the Giants are going to win the game. I thought we'd come out of it saying, well, at least they, started to throw the ball to Waller and Hyatt and Campbell and started to use the team speed. They looked a lot better offensively. You saw Daboll with the play calling, even though he denied it after the game. I'm not saying but clearly he was maybe having a little bit more influence in conversation with Kafka about the play calling, because it changed first half to second half. I mean, they went from, they weren't a vertical team against Dallas. In the first 2 quarters against Arizona, they weren't a vertical team. In the second half, they became a vertical team, and everything opened up for that team offensively, and they just marched up and down the field. And I'm more of a Jones guy than you, but that's a hell of a win. Speaking of a hell of a win, how about the Washington Commanders? The way they came back in Denver against the Broncos, the Hail Mary at the end, the failed 2-point conversion where there was clearly pass interference. Russell Wilson and Sean Payton now 0-2, losing their first 2 games here in 2023 against the Vegas Raiders, who lost by 28 yesterday up in Buffalo at home, and then losing to Sam Howell and the Washington Commanders.
The Fighting Eric Bieniemys. I mean, seriously, like, I'm not trying to overreact about this, but the fact that the Washington Commanders have 55 points in their first 2 games, and this had been pretty much a dreadful offense for, I don't know, the last 175 years. I'm kidding. But like the last couple of seasons, Eric Bieniemy has changed the complexion of what that offense is. They're leaning on their running backs. Their offensive line is playing well. Sam Howell is doing just enough. He uses his legs to get out of place. I mean, the fact that what their top wide receiver yesterday had 60, 70 yards. Like, nobody had 100 yards.
Yeah, 54. Terry McLaurin, 5 catches, 54 yards. He hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different targets.
It's amazing. That's great. That's it. You know what? It's weird. It looks like Kansas City Chief offense light. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, a little bit. And now Russell Wilson, who, I mean, I can't tell you. I mean, the first half, Denver was marching up and down the field. And then the second half, it's like something switched and they couldn't move the football. It was crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, it was unbelievable. Weird. I mean, you had the big touchdown pass to Marvin Mims. He had 2 catches, $113 and a score. Brandon Johnson was the guy who caught that Hail Mary at the end. He had 2 touchdowns. They had Jerry Jeudy back. He didn't really do all that much. 3 catches for 25 yards. He had 5 targets. But an amazing win for the Washington Commanders. And now, speaking of wins, how about the Miami Dolphins going into Foxborough last night and, had to hold on for dear life late, but win that game 24-17 over the New England Patriots, and more Tua, more Waddle, more Tyreek Hill, more. They led that game by daylight and win it by a touchdown. And now Miami Dolphins are one of those upper echelon teams in the AFC. Here's Tua after the game.
See one thing, and then if you hit an explosive or something happens on that, you can expect something to change in that instance. And so how they defended one of our plays towards the ending of the game wasn't how they defended it the first 3-4 times. They got adjusted. We got a call, and we were able to go down there. Yeah, that's the most important thing playing this defense is they're not going to give up too many explosives. They really want you to work for yardage, and it's definitely a take what they give you kind of defense. And they play sound football, so they're trying to force you to make mistakes.
I love Tua. I am so into this Tua season.
Yeah,
I texted you and Bernsey, right? I think we were at halftime. I decided to place a bet on the Dolphins to win the Super Bowl, 30-1.
And they led at the half. I mean, it was a Miami team that led at the half 17-3. They win the game 24-17. They had a missed field goal late. Hold up defensively. Mostert was great, 121 yards on the ground. Jalen Waddle, 4 for 86. Tyreek Hill, 5 for 40 and a score. You knew the Patriots were going to do one thing. They were going to try and take Tyreek Hill away. For the most part, they did. Still, Tua very efficient, 21 of 30, 249 yards, a touchdown and a pick. And Miami is one of those teams, and they're going to get better defensively under Vic Fangio as this season goes along.
All right, so just really quick as we're talking about this. So I got the Dolphins. What did I say? I got them at 30-1. No, I got them 18-1. I'm sorry, 18-1 yesterday. They're now down to 15-1. Okay, so in the span of them winning that game last night and this morning, we've moved from 18-1 to 15-1. I thought about placing, because I'm trying to build a portfolio. I'm Dave Sharapaning this, and he's going to love that we just made his name into a verb. So I thought about the Cowboys. They were 10-1 yesterday. They're now plus 850. I already have a ticket on the Eagles at plus 850. They're now plus 750. I don't know if I believe in the Chiefs, and the Niners number just hasn't been there that has given me the value. So that's where I'm at. I don't know if I should dive in on the Cowboys now at plus 850 or wait for them to lose a game maybe. Maybe they lose a game and I get them at like 10 or 11-1.
Maybe. Or you could dive into them now and then go back in at 10 or 11 to 1 after they lose a
Good
game.
point too. That's a good point too. Oh.
I mean, that's the other thing you could do too.
Yeah, I don't see much value in other teams, right? Like, all right, and I know we're getting a guest on in just a second, but like if you want to go to, like, the Atlanta Falcons are 2-0, they're not winning the Super Bowl, but they are 33 to 1 odds.
No, they're not.
No, the Chargers are 0-2. I know there's some stat.
Miami's great value.
Yeah, Miami's good. Jacksonville 28 to 1. No, thank you. The Lions 26 to 1. Not really. Yeah, I mean, I think Ravens at 10 to 1 might be decent value.
That might be decent value.
Yeah.
Cowboys, Niners, Miami, Baltimore. Yeah.
It's just the Niners are 7 to 1. Like, I don't know if I want 7 to 1. Do I want to bet something 7 to 1 to hold on to it for the next 5 months? Like, I'd like a little better value than that.
I get it, but I don't know if that value is gonna be there.
Right, especially Niners when they spank the Giants on Thursday.
Yeah,
and
they're winning.
5-1.
They're a 10.5-point favorite. You're probably in all likelihood, unless he's a miraculous healer, not gonna have Saquon Barkley. I mean, unless San Francisco, something happens this week, I mean, there's no way the Giants are going into San Fran and beating the Niners. We'll get into it. Justin Fensterman is going to join the program next. It's Moose and Keith with you, an action-packed hour on a football Monday right here on the Better Sports Network.
What can we expect from you out there on the track tonight?
Listen, I have a wife, 2 kids. I have, full-time jobs. I'm never nervous. I don't even know what that word means. Can you explain what nervous means? No. I'm ready to have fun. I've never done anything like this before. I got asked to be a part of this. This is fascinating. Like, it's so cool to just look around and see what goes on here. So I'm just excited to get out on the horse. And you want trash talk? Is that what you're asking me for? No trash talk. I hope everyone does well.
All right. Everyone's going to do well, but it has to be a winner. So give me your trifecta. Who's going to come in first, second, and third? Your heat.
I will go Maria 1, me 2, Willie 3, Moose goes 4th.
Well, it's very simple. I won this event last year. I won my heat, and so the defending champ has to be the favorite. Now, that makes me a little nervous just because I feel like it's hard to repeat. There's a little pressure when you're the favorite, but that being said, I'm still optimistic.
So your heat, it's you,
yes.
Moose and Keith from Better Sports Network, and Willie Colon.
I think Keith might be my stiffest competition, and I asked for this because I actually recruited Keith, if you didn't know. So Keith, if you win, you're welcome.
Malusis is very good. I mean, he knows what he's doing, but I'm going to go with Maria.
Keith is waving to the crowd. He must pay attention because they're off. It's Mark Malusis going for the lead. Maria Marino on the outside, and now Keith Irizarry on the outside with speed, and they're 3 wide into the first turn. Woo! Mark Malusis is locked in for his life. 138 and 2. They're into the stretch. Sportscasters Derby 2. And still in front, Keith Irizarry. And now Mark Malusis is trying to squeeze on through.
Come on! Back! Come on! Let's go! Come on, dig it!
Yeah! Keith Irizarry. Keith, you did it all the way, wire to wire. Over Mark Malusis.
Awesome! That was so cool!
The champ is here! Keith, what was it like being out there? Adrenaline rush, you were doing the Instagram Live, so there was no panic. You looked cool, calm, collected the whole time, and you won it.
I felt really comfortable. I did. Like, I know you were joking with me before. Are you nervous? Are you whatever? What are you? David, the driver, was awesome. He's like, we're going to win this. I said, all right, let's win this. And he said, let's go. Yeah, I just felt really comfortable. I did. It was fun. We're in the lead. I got Maria Marino on the right side of me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's going to beat us, right? And then out of nowhere, you see Moose coming up this way, and we feel him breathing down our neck. And I'm like,
Moose on the loose. Watch out.
Moose was definitely on the loose, and we just got Moose by a neck, a nose, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, but again, all of this for a great cause, and it was absolutely awesome to do this. It was cool.
All right, Keith, congratulations, and no matter what, you could always hold this over Moose's head.
It's Moose and Keith with Mark Malusis and Keith Irizarry.
Yet another reminder why I got to lose weight. There you go. That's exactly right. Let's welcome aboard. Let's welcome aboard right now Justin Fensterman at Fensty Sports. He joins the program now. We love Justin. Check him out. Host of Fantasy Football Game Day Morning, Sunday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio and Sirius XM NFL Radio, NFL, NBA, and MLB contributor at Fantasy Guru. Good morning, Fensty. How you doing, bud?
Oh, I'm doing great, guys. It's great being back on with you. And Moose, that's like the 5th time I've heard you say you got to lose weight. You even started your Disney World videos on the plane by saying you have to lose weight. Those were awesome, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much, Fensty. I appreciate it. Yeah, well, I'm trying. I'm in the process. Going to Orange Theory, cutting down on carbs and sugar, and away we go. That's
how's your journey going, Fensty?
Dude, I've been for the most part staying away from the soda. Thank you very much. It's very nice of you to say. I actually thought this morning was looking thicker, so you just made my day. Thank you very much. I've been staying away from the soda for the most part. I've been sticking with a lot of seltzer and Mio like we talked about. Keith, I didn't order the product you told me to, but I do have it written down, but it's definitely been better. It's helped my energy, even though I'm someone with a lot of energy. It helps me wake up in the morning and want to go to the gym, that I'm not all sugared out from the soda or feeling weird from the night before. So it's a journey, but it's looking for baby steps here. That's what I've learned. I used to make too lofty of goals. Now I've changed my ways to do the what about Bob baby step style.
Love it. Love it. All right, Fensty, let's get into a little fantasy here. What do Saquon Barkley owners do now after the ankle injury? We'll find out. The reports are he avoided a serious ankle injury. But what if I had shares, which I do, of Saquon Barkley? What do fantasy owners do?
I mean, you're going to be having a look on the waiver wire. You better be ready not to start Saquon Barkley. I heard you guys talking about that before. It's a lot to do with swelling. I don't know if the swelling is going to be able to totally go down in 4 days, no matter what they do when it comes to therapy for managing Saquon Barkley's swelling. And also because, and this was mentioned a lot on the broadcast as well, that he's had a lot of injuries over the last few years as well. So the Giants are going to have to be careful with him at this point. And you're looking at a backup of what Matt Breida at this point. It's very hard to trust a lot of these Giants weapons. You would think maybe Daniel Jones will be running a little bit more. And the matchup seems daunting. And then you're seeing Kyren Williams score on San Francisco. And you're wondering if some of these runners can have that kind of success against the 49ers. But at the same time, for those that have Saquon Barkley, I'd be looking down your bench at this time because I'd be pretty shocked if he's playing or at least playing with a full complement of snaps.
Yeah, and you mentioned Kyren Williams. How impressed are you with him? Because he was one of the weird guys coming off week 1 where he looked like he was taking over in LA. People were dicey about how much fab money they wanted to spend on him. I think people probably went more after Joshua Kelly than Kyren Williams, and it looks like Kyren might be the dude in LA.
Yeah, and it's looking like that is going to be the case after we found out. I mean, Cam Akers, a healthy scratch right there. What a slap in our fantasy faces at this point. Something you don't like to see already week 2. I know that with Devon A-Chain, it was kind of like that as well. And people are like, are you kidding me? But with this situation, we've seen Cam Akers have problems with this organization before. And I think that rather than Kyren Williams being a flash in the pan, this guy is going to be here to stay. He's running well. The way they're utilizing him, I mean, after what we saw lack of from Cam Akers in week 1, very scary to see. And now as someone who has both Akers and Williams in 2 separate leagues, I'm wondering what the hell to do with this guy because maybe he gets traded and he's able to get some opportunities elsewhere. So I don't necessarily want to drop him, but I feel like I'm like frozen, like Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat just hit me with an ice ball. I don't know what to do with this guy. What are you guys doing? I don't know if you have Akers or whatnot.
Yeah, I've given up on Akers.
Yeah,
I have. Tough. I mean, it's the Williams show, and I don't know if Cam Akers is going to be a guy that someone's going out there and saying he's going to be the solution at the running back spot. It's a shame. It really is, because his career might be at a different point if he never suffered that Achilles injury during the course of the summer, and it took him 5.5 months, amazingly enough, to come back, which was miraculous healing. What about Cincinnati and Joe Burrow? What do you do with not only with the quarterback spot, but then the trickle-down effect of Chase and Higgins? Even though Higgins had himself a day yesterday against Baltimore, but the re-injury with that calf, Fensty.
Yeah, it's bad. And with Higgins at this point, after you have that zero burger, it wasn't looking good for the Bengals again. I was sitting there yelling at the TV because, like I told you guys, I mean, Burrow's my favorite player in this league, and I've got multiple shares of this guy, and I've got indirect shares as well, like T. Higgins. I don't have Chase anywhere, but for a while, it wasn't looking good once again, and then all of a sudden, he hit T. Higgins twice, and things became better, but you don't want to see that, and we were told this, guys. We were told that Joe Burrow was coming into this season not at 100%. It would probably take him a few weeks for that calf to be fully 100% healed. We've just taken steps back at this point when it comes to this guy. And that's a little bit of a problem. And your shares of Higgins at this point, yeah, it's not a fun situation to be in. And I'm hoping that soreness goes down. And luckily, he has an extra day or two to figure that out. But not what you want to see right now, especially coming off a zero burger from Higgins in week 1.
Yeah, and then you look down the line. It's not like they have a backup that most people even know much about in Jake Browning, right? It's like that's your backup quarterback. No, thank you. All right, let's get to Chicago now, and our fearless leader here, Matt Deutsch. Love Justin Fields coming into the season. Okay?
Justin Fields stinks.
Actually, you know what, Fency, you and I, we're just gonna sit and listen. Moose, go talk about Fields.
No, he's terrible. Well, there's nothing. I mean, what else is there to say? He's terrible. I mean, he's been a fantasy disaster. He really is. He can't. Guys are running free down the field, doesn't hit him. He's just a disaster. I mean, Fields. If Deutsch actually drafted him in the first round, that is one that is very next to impossible to overcome because Chicago's got a quarterback problem here, Fensty.
Yeah, and I think maybe some thought that kind of like when Jalen Hurts got A.J. Brown, all of a sudden that accuracy improved drastically. Maybe people thought with the acquisition of DJ Moore, it would be the same with Justin Fields, and I kind of bought into that as well. However, I didn't draft him anywhere where he was going. I just liked other quarterbacks that were going shortly after him a little bit better. Guys like Trevor Lawrence, who put up a stinker for us yesterday in a 51 total game. You got to be kidding me. The Jaguars and the Chiefs with no points going on in that game. It was nuts, that one. And so because of that, I was drafting Trevor Lawrence a little bit later than Fields. But look, we know what he could do on the ground. We know he's got great feet. But outside of him at this point, there are a lot of questions with this team. I mean, Moore had himself a decent game, but the running back situation is also a disaster besides the fact that he runs too. So I'm very happy that I have 0 shares, and I'm starting to be a little bit fearful for everybody that does.
All right, what about when you look at Washington, Sam Howell, and what you've seen from this Commanders offense now under Eric Bieniemy?
I'm surprised, and I heard you guys talking about what McLaurin did before with Surtain right there. I was surprised that McLaurin was able to have some kind of success. I actually, in one of the leagues that I have a loaded receiving core, I actually benched him, which I regretted a little bit later on. Played him in a couple of other leagues where I have Terry McLaurin, a big fan there, and I know that there was a lot of focus on Jahan Dotson. But, man, I like what I've seen from this Commanders offense. And this was an offense that I thought was going to even have more Antonio Gibson, and that hasn't been the case. Brian Robinson's running well. Sam Howell, Ron Rivera has been invested in this guy since I feel like before last season even ended. That's how long he's been invested in this guy. We were told that they weren't going to bring someone in to fully take his place, maybe to complement him a little bit like they did, but it was going to be how they were invested in him. And I think that we're seeing what this guy can do. And it's been fun to watch and see the Commanders now under new ownership. So I'm excited, especially having 3 Terry McLaurin shares and a Dotson share. I'm very excited too, and I'm wondering at times if I'm going to be having to stream Logan Thomas because my tight end situation is a disaster because I have Dalton Schultz everywhere.
Oh, Fency, hang in there for a second.
Yeah, we're going to call an audible here, yeah.
Matt Deutsch wants to publicly apologize for his take on Justin Fields this year. We're going to give him the floor here for a solid 40 seconds, the better boss. Matt, welcome aboard. Or is he with us? He's with us. Matt, we're ready for the apology on Justin Fields.
America needs the apology.
Well, it's only been 2 weeks. I'm not going to back off this yet.
Matt, he's terrible.
Doesn't look good. A lot of incomplete passes and 6 sacks. 6 sacks. I mean, we got a problem with the offensive line, which I thought would flush the best runner in the NFL out into the open field. Tampa Bay, a really bad matchup, guys. I mean, they got great linebackers. with White and David. They've got Vita Vea.
No, I get it.
It's a terrible matchup.
Matt, he was holding on to the football for like 7 seconds in the pocket. Like, he's terrible, Matt. He doesn't, like, literally, I don't know if he can recognize guys running down the field wide open.
I like the touchdown pass.
And they were wearing the orange jerseys.
Those have to go. Those
like
have
they
to
were
go.
wearing the orange jerseys. Like, you should be able to see them.
With what he can do in the fantasy scoreboard, there is no reason to retract my statement that he could be the #1 overall scorer in fantasy.
He will not be the #1 scorer.
Well,
I mean, come on.
You're ready to admit the fact that at the end of the season, he's not going to be the top fantasy scorer.
I am not ready to admit that yet.
Oh, come on.
No, I am not. No, I am not. Not in a road game at Tampa Bay. Can we see him play the Vikings first, please?
He took on Green Bay.
Matt, I got a really important question to ask, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
What are your expectations for them against the Chiefs at Kansas City?
Well, better question. Agreed. A better matchup. And I think he'll be certainly better than Tampa Bay. Kansas City does not have the linebackers or the pass rush to do what Tampa Bay did. And let's just see if there's some evolution. There are some new parts here, right? We're getting used to some of the new parts. Yeah. And if you're going to ask me to back off, I'm not going to do it yet. You want to put me on some bet? You want me to bet something and put myself to double down? I'll double down on Justin Fields right now.
So let me be the voice of reason here. All right, let's try this. Let's try to be the voice of reason. So if we gave you truth serum right now, okay, do you truly believe that under truth serum you would say that you still think he will be the #1 fantasy scorer?
I think he can be. Yes.
Wait, no. Can is different. No. Will he be?
Well, if I said it in April, I'm saying it now. I'm not backing off of it now. But why would I? You got 15
because you watched
games.
him play.
Yeah, I mean, you've watched him play football for and I'm a Justin Fields guy. Like, I have shares of Justin Fields. I absolutely adore Justin Fields. But if you watched him play for the first 2 weeks, it is clear that he is not a top QB. He's not.
I didn't watch the games closely. I'm a red zone guy with crazy family going on. I like I said, I like what I saw on the touchdown pass.
Matt, just pull up the box score. I mean, it's
well, if I see that many incompletions, like you can't have that many incompletions. As
like him and Zach Wilson basically had the same day. And Zach Wilson shouldn't be in the NFL.
Jeez.
Matt, pull the ripcord. It's over.
It's not over. It's not over.
Adjust it.
Listen, I will trade for Justin Fields. Listen, this is the way you do it. Now's the time to trade for Justin Fields in fantasy, right? You want me to go on it? Go trade for Justin Fields right now. Win yourself a championship. That's what Matt Deutsch is saying.
Matt, thank you.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Listen, he's sticking with it though. You know?
Yeah.
Like, there are times that it's okay to be like, you know what, I whiffed.
I drafted Justin Fields in like the 7th or 8th round this year, right? And I was like, that's amazing value. Like, I'm weeping at night. The fact I'm watching him play, like, he is terrible.
Do you know
like,
what I did?
A terrible quarterback.
In an industry league, somehow Fields slipped and he was in the 7th round. And I looked across the board and I saw one of my former producers didn't have a QB yet. Okay. And he screwed me last year by announcing that I was going to take someone. He knew that I was going to take Jalen Hurts. He knew it. And he said it. So someone else drafted him just so I couldn't. So I drafted Justin Fields before it could get back, even though I already had a QB. And I did it just out of spite. And now it's probably going to screw over my season. Yeah.
No.
Because I didn't need him. I had Justin Herbert already. I didn't need him. Did it
That's
just
what happens when you try to be a heel, Keith. You know?
I try. Apparently, I'm supposed to be the nice guy. Like, it doesn't work. I'm not the mean guy.
Fensty, we'll close it out here. Monday Night Football tonight. What are you looking at? Any take, any kind of strong play? You think Pickett bounces back against the Browns? You think the Steelers bounce back? You like the Saints over Carolina and Bryce Young? What do you like tonight in Monday Night Football? Anything?
I mean, I'm definitely worried about the Steelers. I mean, we talking about Justin Fields was really just not impressed with what I saw from the Steelers in week 1. So what I'm looking for tonight is the carry distribution, which we're looking at in over half the league now. Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, What's it going to be? You kind of have to put week 1 to the side here because you're going to have a bunch of Najee owners out there. They're going to be chewing off their fingernails the second this guy hits the field. So that's something, guys, that's going to change the landscape and probably be the most fire-breathing, burning topic on your show come the future if all of a sudden you're seeing Warren completely outsnap him, completely outclass him, and get, of course, more prioritization in the offense too, because we're talking about guys that we're spending a lot of draft capital on. Najee Harris, you paid a pretty penny. And now if Warren's coming in there, man, it's going to screw with our heads for the rest of the year.
Deutsch stole a bunch of your time. I got like 30 seconds with you. We were talking about Super Bowl winners. I placed a bet last night, 18-1 on the Dolphins just to put them in my portfolio. Do you have a Super Bowl winning portfolio?
I don't have a Super Bowl winning portfolio, but I am, when it comes to who I'm thinking is going to win at this point, I'm sticking with San Francisco.
Okay.
I mean, again, with Brock Purdy, I think that he's the real deal. I think there's a reason why they got rid of Lance, that much confidence in him. A boatload of weapons right there. If, let's say, we thought for a minute Ayuk was going to go down. Okay, now you can utilize even Deebo Samuel more. They figured that out. They got a boatload of weapons. They don't even utilize some of them. So with that kind of artillery that you have, they're going to be contenders going into the playoffs once again.
Fensty, we love you. You're the best, brother. Continued success, man. We're watching your stuff. You do a fantastic job, and continued weight loss. All right for you.
You too, Moose. You too, and please do more update videos. Not even though you're not in Disney anymore. Just you need daily life update videos. There were 3 meltdowns, 5 fights, and Donna won't talk to me anymore.
That's it. I appreciate it, Fensty. All of it's true. None of it was made up.
I know that's what makes it so funny, man. It was made Disney World that much better.
That's it. Fensty, appreciate it, man. Have a good
Thanks,
Monday.
guys.
All right?
Later, bro.
With you.
We'll come back. We got a real-time pick'em we're going to get into. We're going to do that next. He's Keith Arizari. I'm Mark Malusis. An action-packed Moose and Keith on a football Monday right here, the Better Sports Network.
Oh, boy, we got a big one. We got a big card here. We got.
Baby, let's go.
We got a super rookie.
Ooh.
Do you guys want to guess who the big card super rookie is? Because
I'm going to guess somebody from the Dallas Cowboys, but I don't recall who were rookies in those particular years. So I'm going to guess Michael Irvin.
Adam?
Jared kind of convinced me to go Troy Aikman there.
I'm going to read the description. In this player's NFL debut, September 10th, 1989, he produced an electrifying 68-yard punt return for a touchdown.
Sanders.
He became the first athlete in the 20th century to hit a home run, September 5th, 1989, for the Yankees at Seattle, and score a touchdown in the same week.
That needs a sleeve. That one needs a sleeve.
Top
100%.
super rookie, neon, prime time, Deion Sanders.
I wasn't that far off. He played for the Cowboys.
I was going to say Deion, and then when you said the early 90s Cowboys, I'm like, Aikman would be a good guess. So I go with your gut is the lesson there.
And there it is, the white and red Falcon jerseys that you said Deion came in with before they changed to black.
That was because the starting lineup for Deion his rookie year has got the red helmet with the white jersey.
Now look at that do. I mean, are you kidding me with that hair?
I mean, you got to have a headband with those curls. You got to.
That is sick. And this is a favorite card. Do we have any value on this card? We have to, right?
Let me see.
Give me a value here.
Let's see here on eBay. PSA 10 gem mint Deion Sanders, $149.99. And then a 9.5 is $6. So that guy might be a little bit. Then there's a much more reasonably listed one at $31 for a PSA 10. So it's got some value to it. Yeah, you might want to protect that one.
It's in excellent condition. I guess we have to worry about, is it centered?
Yes, that would be the next thing.
All right, well, we'll go through the process there. Maybe I'll just frame that one as a great moment in this show's history.
It's Moose and Keith with Mark Malusis and Keith Irizarry.
Hey Moose, you want to play some daily fantasy contests on Real Time Sports? I'll answer for you. I know you do. You can choose drafts, salary cap formats, you guaranteed prize pools, 50-50s, Entry fees can range from free, which you love free, to $1,000, which Moose loves because he's the big baller here.
No, I'm
League
not.
sizes 2 to 400. You can do MLB, NFL, PGA, all of it. rtsports.com/alarm. First-time depositors. You get 100% instant match up to $200, and you play responsibly. Obviously, you can call 1-800-GAMBLER if you need. Really quick before we get into it. What is this? Love Neek wrote in. Started Mostert over Mike Thomas last minute before last night's game. Gotta love that. Smart move by you. And then one more, just a quick question before we get into our lineups. Should I trade Damian Pierce for Jahmyr Gibbs? Pierce is in a 3-man running back committee, and Gibbs is great. Oh, well, if it's straight up, yes. Oh, I was waiting for this demo_27. Do that in a second.
By the way, Dan Campbell, nice job coaching. I mean, he cost his team the game yesterday.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, the sloppiness of him. And we don't have to get into it now. We got some picks to make for tonight, but still, he was terrible. Yeah. The Lions should never have lost that game to the Seahawks.
No, they should not. Demo, go ahead. Trade.
Make that trade, yes.
Yeah, you get Jahmyr Gibbs. Yes, especially, by the way, David Montgomery probably going to miss anywhere from like 1 to 3 weeks. He got that thigh contusion. I read this morning from Schefter. It looks like he could sit out multiple weeks. It might be Jahmyr Gibbs' time. Yeah,
I'm a little concerned about Gibbs, what he is as a running back, though. He's not an in-between the tack. He's struggling a little small as compared to Montgomery.
That's fine. He made the trade. Good. Yeah. Demo 27. There you go.
Yeah.
Demo 27
Happy
in like
with the fleece.
In like 2 weeks. I want you to either, next week, whatever. Let us know how it plays out for you. It's going to be great. Call in as well.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. All right, let's give some picks tonight in the 2 Monday night games, shall we? Can I go first?
Yeah, go first.
I'm going to take Chris Olave for the Saints over 68.5 receiving yards. Horn for the Carolina Panthers out tonight. We look at it. They're going to throw the football with Derek Carr. Give me Olave over 68.5 receiving yards.
I agree with you on Olave. I think the Saints are going to be able to move the ball a bunch. I'm not sure they're going to be scoring a lot of touchdowns, which scares me a little bit. I think this could end up being kind of like a field goal type of game. I like Jamal Williams tonight. Remember, Alvin Kamara is going to be back probably in week 4. How many more weeks do you have to use Jamal Williams comfortably? I'll take him in a few things. I'll take the over 58.5 rushing yards, and then I will also take the fantasy points here. So I'll double down on Jamal Williams to get us over 12.3 and over 58.5.
Yeah, I think that's solid. I'll take, because the number is extremely low. And I think they're going to try and run it. I'll take Miles Sanders over 64.5 rushing yards tonight for Carolina.
Yeah, I'm afraid of this Panthers. I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with you there. I just don't know what they're doing. If anything, I might even lean on.
Well, if you think it's going to be a close game, it means Carolina is still going to try and run the football.
Yeah, I mean, or a little dump out. Hayden Hurst got a lot of targets last week.
That's true.
Is this a Hayden Hurst? You know what? That number's 28.5. Maybe that's a decent one. Hayden Hurst.
Yeah, that is a good one. Hayden Hurst. And a lot of people are talking about the fact that he's going to be a surprise fantasy player all year long for Carolina, that he's integral to what Carolina wants to do offensively. That's a good one. What about Steelers-Browns?
So, I mean, you feel like it's always going to be Nick Chubb time, right? So we'll go Chubb. And I think in this one, rather than taking the 82.5 rushing yards, I'll take the over on the rushing and the receiving yards. Get him to 100.5, so 101 total rushing and receiving yards for Nick Chubb.
I'll take David Njoku over 35.5 receiving yards for the Cleveland Browns.
Fair enough. Oh, hey, sneaky. Actually, here you go. Just take Amari Cooper, less than 51.5 receiving yards. Take him less than 51.5 rushing and receiving yards, because I don't think he's going to play. Done. Sometimes that's the best part about gambling, right? Is you find a little snafu before the app or the website finds it. Yes, actually,
got a question from Dylan Fink. What kicker would you pick today? I got a tough spot, down 11.36, exactly full PPR. Got Michael Thomas in a kicker spot left. Opponent has Freiermuth.
Ugh. I'm bad at it. Can I be honest with you? If I'm going to throw it out there, I'm bad at this kicker game, man. I never really know. I would take, if everyone's available.
Of the four.
Of the four, I think that the Saints or the Browns are going to score the most points. So give me the Saints kicker.
Okay.
If he's available.
I would probably agree with that.
Yeah.
I'd probably agree with that. I think the Saints are going to move the ball in Carolina tonight.
Dude, how about the fact that they still have Amari Cooper up here? Take the under.
I know. Cooper
Play tonight. I don't know, at least.
He re-aggravated the groin issue.
And if he plays tonight, he's a shell of himself.
No doubt, 100%. And he might be on the field as a pure distraction. That's why I looked at Njoku, or maybe look at Peoples-Jones, a guy that if they're trying to throw the ball deep
Elijah
as well.
Moore.
Question about what version of Deshaun Watson are we going to get?
Yeah.
I know it was raining. Didn't exactly look great week one. Keith, great job as always.
You
Fantastic.
too, man.
Hour flew by. Fensty was fantastic.
Yep.
Deutsch still staying strong in that foxhole with Justin Fields.
Do you think he's
guys in
related
the
to
chat
Justin
session-
Fields? I think he's related to Justin. I think
no
Justin Fields he's related to him. Yeah, they're
like here, whatever it is, pull the ripcord,
Yeah,
whatever
it's
it is,
okay.
the parachute. It's over. It's over.
allowed.
Field
It's
stinks.
okay. Move on.
He stinks. I mean, they're sweating bullets in Chicago. Fields.
I don't think he stinks, by the way. I just don't think he's as elite as some people thought.
I don't.
You think he stinks?
I don't think. Well, stinks is a little strong. I think he's. I don't think he's a winning core. I think it's tough to watch. It really is. Anyway, we're done. We'll talk to you. We'll be back Thursday at 11. Talk to you then.
Oh man.